Thank you for Patreon now for donating to the Patreon.
Hey guys, Vanity Ezel back with Card by Vanguard, Ezel on the Vanity weekly reviews. I hope you guys enjoyed the tonight. Come subscribe, let's watch out, shall we? This time we are covering a lot of good reveals. You know, we have the new Chaos, we have the new Vermillion reveals, and we just got a lot of good cards. We're going to get the start, shall we, and see what we got. First up today, we have a Hero Pineapple. I wish that wasn't this thing's name. Grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard when this unit attacks. When the attack this unit boosted hits a Vanguard, retire this unit and choose a grade 2 blitz order for without regardless speed from your drop zone. Put it to your hand, choose a card from your hand and discard it. Okay, I believe the wording on him may have changed to where it might be a may clause instead of just required to pick up a grade 2 blitz order, but even in that case, even if you don't add a card to your hand, you still have to discard one even if it is a may clause, because it's the same part of the skill, but it's not saying if you added a card, discard one. It's just saying and discard one. So sadly, no matter what, even if you don't add a regardless, even if you don't add an order to your hand, you still gotta discard one. But hey, all around is pretty solid. It gets a free blitz order, helps set up your defenses. Sadly, you don't get the really good one that can shut down overs, but it's still a good card nonetheless. And he's very cute, so I think he's one of a 2 over 3 of. Yes, that's my reasoning for running him. He's cute. Listen, I agree with Emmy's logic. You run cards based off their cuteness. Fuck power. Then we have Deformed Excavator Bulldozer, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto rearguard this attack this unit boost hits a Vanguard, retire this unit, search your deck to 1, grade 2 or greater blitz order without regardless piece, reveal it, put it to your hand and shuffle your deck, and if you reveal a card, choose a card from discard it, and that's pretty much it. Okay, why is everything getting like a blitz order searcher? For Stoic K, it made sense because they literally had a new card drop last week that was focused on, that was a grade 2 blitz order, and then Brancate for some reason got one, which I don't understand at all, especially because it specifically had to be blitz. I understand why it's not regardless piece based, but like, why specifically a grade 2 and why from deck? I will never understand, but whatever. It's a good card, I guess, question mark. He looks like he just was pulled right from a manga, but cool. 3 of in a blitz order base spamming deck for Brancate, which is none of them because all of them spam set orders. And then we move on to our Narukami line. So we have our boy Vermillion revealed, and I had a really great fight with him yesterday on camera. So let's go and get over the card, shall we? First up, we have Spark, Kid Dragoon, and grade 0 boost, 5k shield, escape base, auto roll 5 points, I can draw cards, stand shots, but you gotta admit, this is so fucking cute. Like, before he looked such a badass, and now, you know, you got like the small kid with a dragon bow and arrow, and then we have like the cute little derpy dragon who's just like, man, I want to hug him. He looks so cute. Yeah, we have our Spark Kid Dragoon over there. And then we have Red River Dragoon. Honest to God, I love it when they up the vanillas, because the vanillas always have really good fucking rearguard skills, which is something I constantly complain about. Get them needing to give ride deck card rearguard skills, and I love the ones they gave these ones. So anyways, Red River Dragoon, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base, auto reload upon by a grade 2 card whose only clan is Narukami. Search your deck or hand for up to 1 Eternal Thunderbolt, reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck. Okay, all around pretty great. It literally searches the deck's, I guess, one of 2 main, or like one of the deck's play setters, so that's pretty great. And then auto rear guard when this unit boosts, if your grade 3 is a grade 3, if your grade 3 or greater Vanguard is only Narukami clan, Counterblast 1 to choose one of your opponent's back or rear guards, kill it, and if you, or bind it, I mean, and if you do not bind, soul charge 2. All around pretty solid because the deck uses up a decent amount of soul, and regardless if we're talking premium or V, so, or not VD, so being able just to do a simple counterblast to either bind something in back row to give it your opponent's board or to soul charge 2 more is all around pretty solid, and not to mention the fact that its skill allows it to be placed or allowed to be written from any Narukami unit. Yes, indeed, that is at the moment within logical spectrum only Thunderstorm Dragoon, the grade 2 of the ride line. But in premium, that's a long range of things you can use, and being able to search a free order is nice. And again, not to mention being able to bind something in back row and or soul charge 2 off it is pretty great as well. And his art looks fucking amazing. Easy 4-up for me in like the main deck and the ride deck. And again, I say, I love it when Bushy gives our fucking ride deck cards rear guard skills, so there's reason to run them, because that is actually a good rear guard skill. Then we have Thunderstorm Dragoon, again a really baller art, grade 2 and 5k shield, 10k base. I guess like this one might cause a problem because the deck is somewhat CB heavy, but I still think it's worth it, at least in my version of it. Anyways, Thunderstorm Dragoon, he's the one that I don't know whose skill is right, because like when I was checking Discord, there were 2 different skills, and I think the one I have on here is the right one. The main difference is the specificities of it, so they both had the auto when it's rolled upon by a grade 3 unit with only for an Narukami its card name. Again, not name restricted, but indeed that's only really one option, but until they break the blood out, and then if the blood doesn't have a cross-ride specific skill, we can just use it. But you know, in premium is really good. Either way, look at top 7 cards of your deck, choose up to 1, and this is where the questions rose. Eternal Thunderbolt, or a card with only Narukami for its clan from one reveal, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. Okay, one version has just searched the top 7 for Eternal Thunderbolt. The other version has both this one, and I'm going with this one because I looked back and forth at these two Japanese texts, and you can tell they are different. And so I'm assuming this is the right one, but I don't know for sure. And then auto when it's placed on rearguard circle, if your Vanguard's only clan is Narukami, this is a mandatory soul charge one, and you get plus 5k for the turn. I keep forgetting to do the soul charge one because that's something I remember easily, but it's a free soul charge, which is great in a decently soul blast heavy deck thanks to the existence of one card, and then being a 15k base, which can be played as long as your Vanguard's a Narukami. Oh, look at this. This is a Narukami. That means you can play this while you're in grade 2 and still get the soul charge of 5k. Thunderstorm's a good grade 2. It gets you soul for free, it gets numbers, it gets the Wonder Search, it gets a Narukami Search. What's not to like about it? Easy 1 of in the right deck, and at least a 2 of in the main deck. I run it as a 3 of because of current spacing, but either way, I think these are both very solid cards, and at least worth teching into the main deck because of their skills. And then we have Dragonic Kaiser, Vermillion! I would go into a whole speech if I actually remembered Kai's identical ride chant word for word, and if this was the blood. Don't worry, when the blood comes out, I will go on to a speech for it. Don't worry, and same with Platinum Ezel. Maybe regular Ezel too, who knows. Anyways, Dragonic Kaiser Vermillion, grade 3 Tramper Star, 13k base. Active Vanguard, once per turn, one of my favorite retrains of all time, just in general. Counter Boss 1, choose 2 of your units whose only clans are Narukami, and they get plus 5k on the turn, and then during this turn, when this unit would attack, you may choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards, and this unit battles those units on those circles, as well as your opponent's Vanguard. All around pretty solid because he himself doesn't have to do the 5k power for him to still hit 3 units at once, but also in the sense of he's better than before, because before he was required to hit the front row, now he can battle any 3 units, as long as one of them is the Vanguard circle, but then also not to mention the fact that he gives the 5k to any 2 Narukami units, so worst case scenario you could pick himself, but he can also pick other 2 rearguards as well. Normally I like to give 5k to him and then 5k to a rearguard, so pretty solid, pretty solid. And then auto Vanguard, once per turn at the end of the battle, this unit attacked into anything, whether it's Vanguard or Rearguard. If you played a normal order during this turn, and your opponent has 4 or less cards in their damage zone, drop 1, choose an opponent's Vanguard, and deal 1 damage to it. I love how before the whole theming with the blood and just Narukami, or like Vermillion in general, was like he evolved. If I remember the lore correctly, please correct me if I'm wrong. But there was like, you know, he ate the blood of something, and then I think it was Overlord or some other dragon, if not himself, and then turned into the blood, and then, you know, V kind of interpreted that as suicide skill, to where you blast all your Vermillions at the end of that turn. You take a fuck ton of damage, but you get a drive equal to that amount. And then instead of making that back into here, they're just like, you know, well, let's do a bop damage to the opponent, because fuck it. Yeah, where was this in V? Like, this is a fucking great. I love the fact that in a deck that can literally, once you get the order, technically it has 2 uses. This guarantees you 2 of them, because 1 goes into your hand, and then it can be played from drop, so therefore you technically have 2 uses of it, and it's just a drop 1 to bop 1. Pretty easy. All around 11 skill, can attack multiple units at once, can give any 2 Narukami units, including himself, plus 5,000 power, and it literally can do a bop damage for literally the simple cost of a discard. Easy. I love its skill. It's amazing, and even though I know it's not a moon, it looks like a moon in the background, therefore I have bias towards it. It's at least in the Starry Night Sky, so amazing grade 3, 4 for me in every way, shape, or form. Then we have Eternal Thunderbolt. I don't know why I want to say that like in the most German accent possible, even though I can't do a German accent. I want to for some reason. Anyways, grade 3 normal order. This card may be played from your drop zone or hand if you have a Vanguard Vermillion in its card name whose only clan is Narukami. So this is the only card so far that is like restricted of what it has to be on. But on the bright side of this, it can be played from drop and it's for free. Choose one of your Vanguards until end of turn. It gets continuous Vanguard. When your opponent's Rearguard with this unit hit would be retired from Rearguard circle, they are instead bound. Great, so fuck your opponent. And that also gives you ways to like loop into Soju Doji or anything else that implies binding mechanics from any other deck as like a backup grade 3 or something for Vermillion. And then continuous Vanguard if your opponent has no Rearguards. I wish it wasn't no Rearguards, because that is kind of hard. That's like what makes this deck into a Soul Boss Counter Boss problem, because if it wasn't for no Rearguards, the deck would only have that problem if you really wanted to plus off of skills. But because it has to be no rear guard, you actually do have to forcefully drop out a lot of soul and CB to basically balance out each other. Either way, all your front units get from rear guards get plus 5,000 power, and if this card's played from your drop zone, bind it. All around pretty solid because again, basically it means it has 2 uses. You know, you search one with Red River, and then you immediately, as long as you play this one from hand the first time, you got 2 of them. And typically I draw into 2 of them per game. Most of the time I draw 3. There was one game where I had 4. Basically meaning you can technically use this 8 times in a game, in theory, which is fun, but you're guaranteed 2, and you probably only need it for the 3rd or 4th time. So Eternal Thunderbolt is just a pretty solid card nonetheless. You know, it gets a consistent power gain as long as your opponent has no rear guards, which isn't hard to do. It just takes a lot of cost to do so, and it also can, like, force your opponent to be like, I can't get my shit back. So anyone that's like playing Redlina from Roro and the Redlina gets killed and it gets bound, well, too bad for them. They're not bringing that back with Spiritual Body Condensation. 4 of Eternal Thunderbolt. Just a solid order, and it looks beautiful. Then we have thing I always forget the skill of, so therefore it's been a vanilla in my Vermillion deck so far. Rising Phoenix, grade 1 boost, 5k shield, 8k base. I don't hate Rising Phoenix. I like its art. Granted, Rising Phoenix was never a grade 1 I particularly liked. I don't hate this one. It's just the fact that its skill is so forgettable that I have not been using it to the point, like, even if I have the perfect setup for it, I just have not been using it, so therefore it's a vanilla. Anyways, auto drop zone. When either player's card is bound by your card effects during your turn. Oh, I wonder by which card effect and during what phase that would imply. Soul Blast 1 to call this card to rearguard circle if your Vanguard's only client is Narukami. Okay, so I already have a soul problem and I don't use this, but if I for some reason did, I would definitely have a soul problem. And even if I didn't, there was a game where technically I could have called all 4 of these at once, but it wouldn't have been worth it, and I am glad I forgot about this thing's existence during that game because I probably would have killed myself faster. So, great skill, I guess, if you want the multi-attack and boosting. And then act rear guard, retire this unit, choose when reach 5k for the turn. Okay, but the deck already hits for like decent numbers. Like, unless you're not going to proc off Thunderbolt that turn, then you have no real reason to do that. And the multi-attack, again, isn't really worth it, because at least in my version of this deck, it does have a soul problem, because it's not going to easily get rid of the rear guards. Or, well, it won't have a soul problem, but it'll have a CB problem is the thing. And we'll see why in a second. But it's not a bad card. It's just forgettable, and I won't use it. But it's nice, so I think it's one of like a 3-of for now, or like, I run as a 4 simply for space, but yeah, once we get more Narukami cards, it's an easy 3-of for me. Then we have the reason why my deck would have why it has a CB problem. Yes, I am aware it says Soul Blast. I'm making this point for a reason. Dragonic Deathscythe. Grade 2 NSF 5k shield, 10k base. Continues rear guard during your turn if your opponent has no firm rear guard circles, it gets plus 5k, or from rear guards, it gets plus 5k power. Okay, so it's better than Thunderbolt in the sense that it just has to be specifically front row, and then, you know, Thunderbolt also procs off, and it's a total of plus 10, which is great. And then auto rear guard when this unit attacks a Vanguard. If you have a Vanguard, that's great. If you have a great 3-grade Vanguard who's not great, only client is Narukami, Soul Blast 1 or Soul Blast 2, choose one of your opponent's rear guards to bind it, and if you do not bind, draw a card. Okay, we're on pretty solid skill. You're either going to bind or you get a draw, which is nice. This is the reason why I have a CB problem. Why you're asking if I have a CB problem with a Soul Blast is because I use this in response to try to balance them out. Therefore, because this can bind anything if I remember correctly. Yeah, so you use this thing to bind first, and then you use this thing to soul charge to, therefore it balances out, except that means you're spending a total of 2 CB a turn, and automatically that's going to be really bad. But when you get a bop damage out of it, and this is not getting 5k from Vermillion, it's typically this that I have on rear guard that gets the 5k from him, you are pretty much procking off numbers decently well to the point where it doesn't matter. So 4 of Deathscythe, it gets rid of rear guards, you can possibly get draws, it's an automatic 15k most of the time, so what's not to like about it? This deck is deadly and it's fun playing, I gotta say that much. Then we have Lofty Soul Dragon, grade 3 turn per 13k base, auto rear guard. At the end of the battle, this unit attacked a Vanguard, retire this unit, look at the top 3, choose up to 1 card with only Genesis for its clan from one, then reveal it, put it in your hand, and put the rest on bottom of deck in any order. And then if you did not reveal a card, choose one rear guard, 5k for the battle, or for the turn. Okay, it's not bad. It opens up rear guard circles, so you can call the witches more easily, which is nice. It can get you discard fodder, because if I remember correctly, Minerva requires you to discard a Genesis unit. I think. I know part of her skill requires specifically a Genesis unit. I don't remember if it's Soul Blast a Genesis unit or discard a Genesis unit. I feel like it's discard, but in case I'm wrong, fair, but I'm pretty sure it's meant for that. So nice that it can kind of cut Minerva's cost in half a little bit and, you know, add more consistency to the witches. And then, you know, worst case scenario, if you didn't reveal something, at least the Vanguard that's about to restand gets numbers out of it. So it's not that bad. So Lofty Soul Dragon is a solid grade 3 and I like it. So I think it's like one of a 2 over 3 of in a Minerva deck. Then we have Divine Sister Savarin. You know, Bushy, you've been giving all these random grade 3 support. I know I said it as a joke and even did an entire video on it, which is for some reason one of my fastest growing videos when it first came out. Don't ask me why, of all things that set that was doing well in terms of views when it first came out, it was the joke video. But, you know, Bushy, if you could, I don't know, maybe give that deck support so I don't look like an idiot, that would be fun. Anyways, auto when it's placed on rearguard circle, choose a normal unit with only Genesis from his clan from your drop zone, and you may put it at the top of your deck. Okay, I'm starting to see what this thing's point is. Cool, you know, it would be better if it, I don't know, actually fit a Divine Sister theme and we got a ride line on it. You know, there's a character currently in the anime whose deck hasn't been confirmed yet. Cough, cough, nudge, nudge, wink, wink, Helena. Even though she uses Dark States cards in the opening, that's not proof enough that she uses Dark States. You know, technically speaking, she could be a Keter player, and technically speaking, there is still room for a Divine Sister ride line. We would never know. I'm just saying, Bushy, it's a possibility. Just ignore this card. Anyways, we have Jovial Juggler. Honestly, one of the best drawn cards in my opinion, because I don't know, she just looks so bright in comparison to everyone else. Anyways, Grade 1 boost 5k shield, aka base, contains soul. When you choose cards from your soul for your Vanguard's ability, this card may be chosen as grade 0. So, you know, Lucia requires you to call stuff a different grade, so nice that she can count as a different grade than a grade 1. And then auto, when she's placed by the act ability of your Vanguard, Pale Moon as his only clan. Oh, I wonder who that would be. I definitely didn't just say her fucking name. Put another rearguard into your soul, choose a unit from your soul, call it to rearguard circle at the end of that turn, put that unit called by this effect into your soul. So it's literally just Magia without the keyword. All around, pretty solid. It's actually, no, that is just Trapeze Performance, isn't it? Just without the Soul Blast. I knew this card looked familiar. That is literally Purple Trapeze without the Soul Blast. Because if I remember correctly, Purple Trapeze's skill in V at least was, if I remember correctly, was either just send a rearguard to Soul when she's placed from Soul and then call something else from Soul that isn't a Purple Trapezes, or it was something that wasn't a grade 1, or it was Soul Blast 1 and then just do the same thing. Like, either way, cool. Gets a rearguard to Soul, call something else out, and then doesn't that immediately proc off Lucier's skill? Because isn't her skill like if you call 4 things from Soul that turn, so that it automatically procs it off as long as you have a actual grade 1 and a grade 2 in Soul? Cool. Jovial Juggler's an amazing grade 1. I love her skill, and this is immediate 4 for Lucia in every way, shape, and form. Then we have Timeless Peace Dragon, grade 3 Champer Sword, 13k base. Auto when it's placed on rearguard from your soul. Counter boss 1, drop 1. Until end of turn, this unit gets plus 10k power, and during the battle, this unit would attack. Your opponent cannot call signals from hand to guard circle. So are you supposed to play this in Lucia and then buff it up with like every fucking power possible and then swing for inherent game? Because I can guarantee you people are definitely going to PG the Vanguard, and I can guarantee you any other PG they probably use on the other rear guards. Unless you saw crits, this isn't really going to do much. I mean, it's still a good card in its own right. I just don't see it doing much in Lucia, especially because it also takes up a CB and it does card, so there's that. It's not a bad card, it's just not something I see use of, especially compared to, I don't know, Disc. So 2 of tech, I guess, but yeah, no, this is an easy 4 of, there's no argument to that, and this needs to be a sign that we're getting a Divine Sister ride line soon. That's my hope. Next up, we have Spring Breeze Dragon, grade 3 Jumper Sword, 13k base, auto from a rearguard circle at the beginning of the battle phase, your battle phase. If you played a normal order this turn, counter boss 1, choose a great choice card from your drops and call it to rearguard. Okay, I'm pretty solid. You can use this in Zorga. The Zorga's already a little bit CB heavy and definitely space heavy, but you know, if you had the space for it, you could use it in there. You could technically use it in Leonord if you find a Leonord build that isn't super CB heavy. Then again, Leonord itself isn't that CB heavy. It's just like, depends on how the game goes, it can turn CB heavy, but being able to call a great choice from drop is pretty nice, just in any deck that requires a normal order, and suddenly the Mazkez running around seems to be a good thing. So 2 over 3 of them, really any deck that runs a Mazkez, or just to plan out normal order as like its main way of winning, because why the hell not? And then Outbursting Righteousness is one of the funniest cards I've ever seen in terms of reading, and then one of the funniest cards I've ever seen in terms of art, and I think it's amazing. Grade 3, normal order. Choose one of your vanguards, and it gets auto vanguard when when this unit attacks a vanguard. Sorry, when your unit attacks a vanguard, regardless of if it's this or another. If it's the 4th battle that turn or more, counter boss 1, choose 2 of your opponent's vanguards, murder them, until end of turn. Now here's the important thing about this. Unless this is translated wrong, that means Flagberg got a whole lot more fucking deadlier, because while yeah, it's going to cost more CB overall, on Flagberg's 5th battle, even if it's only for Vanguard Circle, that's a CB2 to kill 4, or, if it's translated the right way, you can CB a total of 3 that turn to kill everything. Or, you know, on Maelstrom you can CB 1 to kill 2, and then after that you can just keep CBing 1 to kill 2. Something tells me both Flagberg and Maelstrom are about to go up in CB cost, or you know, any other fucking Stoic Head deck, because all of them, now thanks to Zorgo's new grade 2, are able to attack 4 times a turn. Whew, this is gonna be fun, and I can't wait to see the chaos this reigns in D. I also can't wait to see the chaos this reigns in Premium, because I feel like that's gonna be fucking fun to deal with. Either way, this is a cool card. I think it's beautiful, and I cannot wait to, like I said, I can't wait to see the chaos this reigns. So, cool. 2 of tech. Let's see where this goes. And let's go ahead and get our final reveals done and dusted. First up, we have our 2 new grade 2s for V. Wild Shot Ruber and Sleeping Jam Pack. Wild Shot Ruber is a grade 2 with 5k shield, 10k base for Sprite Brothers, and then the standard auto hand card at the beginning of your ride phase. If you have a grade 1 or less Vanguard, discard itself from hand, look at the top 5. Choose up to 1 grade 2 less card from among them, and reveal it, put it to hand, shuffle your deck. And Ruber does the same thing, but for grade nature. And then the restrictive skill, or not the restrictive, their exclusive skills that they have is auto Vanguard or Rearguard once per turn. While this unit attacks while boosted, counter boss 1, start your deck with a 1 grade 3 card called to Rearguard, shuffle your deck. All around pretty solid because Spike Bus has a lot of really good grade 3 Rearguards that can either get extra crit or power. Bad and Dragger, or grade 3 rearguards and get a lot of just power in general, Juggernaut maximum, or just all around a lot of good versatile grade 3, so I don't think there's any reason not to like Ruber. He's just a solid card and he only costs a simple counter boss for his skills, so I think he's like an easy 3 of at the very least in any Spike Brothers deck, because again, he like kind of sets you up for the next turn. In worst case scenario, if he doesn't, he has stuff like Bad and Dragger and Juggernaut maximum to do damage on your opponent's turn, which is, or not damage on your opponent's turn, but do damage that turn, which is great. And then we have Sleeping Jam Pack. So I already went over its second skill, and then its first skill is Auto Vanguard or Rearguard once per turn. When this unit attacks while boosted, Soul Boss 1, discard the top card of your deck and perform one of the following according to the card's type. Normal unit, choose 2 of your units, and the same they get plus 5k for the turn. Trigger unit, choose 2 of your opponent's rearguards, kill them. Okay, so I really like how they're going with this because, there's one of the, at least in my opinion, one of the more popular, at least the ones I will remember the easiest, would be stuff like Binoculous Tiger, where it's 3 units get plus 5k, or 2 or 1 rearguard is retired. But the thing I love about Sleeping Jam Pack over here is you get one or the other, but because there are so many cards that can trigger both effects at once, that is actually extremely powerful. Because, like, for example, one of the Isabels, I think even Leopold, because that just, or Leopold might let you choose, I don't remember, but I know Isabel lets you do both. But, like, the fact that you can guarantee 2 5ks and then 2 rearguard kills is just pretty solid. I like its skill. I think this is an amazing grade 2, and it's an easy 3 of in any real fucking, like, lottery mill-based deck, or that has one of those 2 cards as the main grade 3, but at the same time it could still work as a 4. The only reason why I say 3 is because the deck might be a little soul heavy, but yeah, no, if you have the soul 4, run this as a 4, because 5k to 2 rear guards, or any 2 units including the Vanguard, and then 2 rear guard kills at the same time, pretty fucking solid. Then we have, of course, more order spammers. And at this point, I'm just going to stop questioning the fact of why we're getting a bunch of order spammers, because at this point, I don't care anymore. Grid 1 boost 5k shield, AK base, beautiful Demon Prince Batem. Continues rearguard. If you play it in normal order during this turn, this uses 5k power. And then auto when placed on rearguard circle by counterboss new 1, search your deck or drop zone for up to 1 Devil's Reprisal. Reveal it, add it to your hand, and shuffle your deck if you searched it. Okay, it's not bad, you know, it gets another 5k if you play it in normal order, so it can still be applicable with the Masquez. But then at the same time, it's mainly going to be used for Devil's Reprisal searching, because it gets Devil Reprisal out from deck or drop zone. What is Devil Reprisal, you ask? Well, Devil Reprisal is this thing. So grade 2 normal order, you may soul charge 1, and then you choose one of your units, and until end of turn it gets plus 5k power. Cool, so if you pick Batem, it just gets plus 10. And at the end of the turn, discard 1, add a Devil's Reprisal from your drop zone to your hand. This is not bad, but like it's not amazing either, because yes, it's a free soul charge. I mean, granted, it's a May soul charge, so you can give someone 5k regardless, but having to drop one to bounce it back, I don't know, just feels like not worth it, where this can literally just get it back for you. So once you have no CB, then it's not worth it in my opinion.
again, I feel like we could build decks around these, or like they could give us like a little bit more support around these, and we could actually build decently good decks out of them, regardless if they had their own ride lands or not. But we were getting like 1 or 2 cards to the point where it's like these are the most side-based things I've ever seen, rather than things that can actually be used as support or like a main deck idea. But it's okay, it's not horrible, it's not the worst. It's a 3 or 4 of, I guess, for me, because again, it's free and it's not a mandatory soul charge. Then we have, and of course, our Dark States Order Spammer. Great 5k shield, 10k base, beautiful Lady of Flames Orions, or Orions. I know that's not how you say it, I don't care. Auto placed on rearguard circle if you have played a normal order this turn. Soul boss 1 with the top 5, choose up to 1 card with grade and equal to or lower than your Vanguard from among them. Reveal it, call it to rearguard circle. If it's a unit, and add it to your hand if it's an order, shuffle your deck. That belongs on Keter. There's no reason for this to be in this deck. That belongs to Keter. I don't remember if all of them have this skill, but I don't think all of them have this skill. This should have been on the Keto one. Tell me I'm wrong. And then auto rear guard when this unit attacks a grade 3 or greater unit, Soul Blast 3 to draw a card, and these gives 5k for the turn. Why Soul Blast 3? That just feels so much for a draw of 5k. Am I the only one that thinks that? Like that's too much for a draw of 5k? It's again, I feel like this could have been going somewhere. Because first, this skill, I guess, if the first skill had a way to soul charge, then this skill wouldn't feel too bad. But the fact that this skill does not give you a way to soul charge, and instead it's just a skill that should have been on Keter, I don't know what to think about this. Like, it's not horrible, but it's just no. So, like, in my opinion, I don't like it. Maybe that's just me, but it's a 3. It's a 3 of just because I always say it's a 3 of, but I'm not gonna run this. Granted, I'm not gonna run either of these, but I'm just saying. Take that as you will. Then we have our new Chaos card. So first up we have Great 2 Set 5k Show 10k base, Inciting Vice Agama. Auto when placed on Vanguard Circle if you have Vanguard Chaos Sense card name, back here boxing 1. Look at the top 2 cards of your deck, choose up to 1 card from one of them, add it to your hand, and put the other into Soul. Are pretty solid because you don't have to add something to your hand if you don't want to, so that could be a free 2 different name Soul charge. Or if you wanted to, you could add 1 to the hand and send the other to Soul, which is nice because it works while you're on any Chaos. So if you manage to pull this out on your grade 1, you could just skill, or you can pull it off on your grade 2 or grade 3. And then auto Soul when your unit with Mechanics card name is placed on rearguard circle, regardless if it's the grade 1 or the grade 2, or the grade 3, or any other Mechanics they print, so there could be a grade 2 in the future. If you have a Vanguard Chaos Sense card name, discard 1, call this card from Soul to rearguard circle, and until end of turn, this unit gets a boost. All around, pretty solid. It can be called from Soul, so if your board's not doing the greatest and your hand is not the greatest for like final turn rushing, it can become a 10k booster, which is nice. It's not amazing because I'm going to prioritize the different names in Soul first, but if it comes down to it, I would definitely consider using this thing skill because, again, 10k booster, so that's not a horrible thing. So at least a 3 of because of this skill, and then maybe a 4 just because this thing can be useful in certain scenarios. Also because you can call it during the battle phase. That thought did just run through my mind. If you do have a Mikani in Soul and you find a way to call it during the battle phase, you can call this from Soul during the battle phase and basically redo a column. Just saying. Speaking of which, does this, because I didn't read this except for this part of, like, this word of the skill, so I actually don't know what Soul Ontario does, but we have our final reveal today, and that is Soul Ontario Chaos. Crazy Trapper, 13k base. I gotta say, he looks badass as hell. I really do love, like, the 2 snakes over here, and I love his, like, his pose he's got. I love it all. Anyways, auto when this is placed by writing from approaching Fangs Chaos. Okay, so just like the other one, you have to place from writing from the original. You may soul charge 3, then you choose 2 cards from your soul, add 1 to the hand, call the remaining to rearguard, and activate Persona Red. I love how all of them activate Persona Red so far. Watch Tamayura, the one that is specifically known for like half Persona Red, creating doesn't Persona Red, but you know, we're pretty solid because that is just Chaos's first skill where it's Carapace 1, drop 1, soul charge 3, and then, or not soul charge 3, look at top 3, put 1 to hand, put 1 to rearguard, and put the other to soul. But instead, it is a maze soul charge 3. I don't think you have to if you don't want to, but even if you do, you can use soul charge 3 after, and then you basically, or you soul charge 3 beforehand, and then you do it before, which is great all around. Because it picks from it in total in your soul, which is nice. And then active Vanguard once per turn. If your soul has 13 or more different card names, bind a copy of this from your soul, or not, bind a copy of Approaching Fangs Chaos from your soul, not a copy of this from your soul. Until end of turn, all your units would get 10k power, and this unit gets +1 critical. And at the end of the turn, write the card bound for this cost of rest. Okay, so I like how it's just literally row. Oh, wait. I did not read this part of the skill. Huh. Okay, so if you're willing to go with the Persona ride for first turn, technically speaking, if you find a way to hit 13 soul of different names, considering it's a dark stage, you could probably yeet this fucker into soul, meaning you could pull this off while your opponent's at grade 1 or grade 2. Or you could just wait like a normal person till next turn to have a plus 20 to the front row, have some arbitrary number of back row, and probably have multi-attack with that. Cool. All around, Solitario is a pretty solid card. I love the fact that he gets a crit. I love the fact that he gets power. His Soul Charge 3 skill is amazing. The only thing I hate about him is just he feels like the Dark State's a version of Roro, but like the same thing would apply to Roro if Roro was revealed second. It's just the fact that the order they revealed it. Either way, though, Solitario is just a solid card. I think it's amazing, and I really cannot wait to play this one out. So without further ado, I'm gonna end this one here. Hope you guys enjoyed. In the next one, I believe we are going to have Ava and something else. So I'll see you all then. Don't forget to like, comment, subscribe, join us on Twitch, and don't stand up your vanguards.